You've seen them, right? Those glossy reports from big companies, talking all about the good they're doing in the world. But what are we actually looking at? Is it a real, honest-to-goodness report card on their social progress? Or is it just a really, really clever piece of PR? Well, let's dig in.
So that's a pretty powerful statement. It's a voice right from the front lines, from someone whose entire job is to figure out a company's impact on actual people. But to really get what this means, we got to look at the bigger picture. It kind of makes you wonder, why did companies even start looking beyond just profits? I mean, for a long, long time, the bottom line was the only thing that mattered. But that started to change as more businesses realized their responsibilities go a whole lot deeper.
So how do they even measure this stuff? Well, the main tool they use is something called a social performance audit. The best way to think about it is like a checkup, but instead of checking the company's financial health, it's evaluating its behavior and its real-world impact on its workers and the whole community. And the whole idea behind these audits is really rooted in this concept called stakeholder theory. It's this big shift in thinking that says a company isn't just accountable to its investors, the shareholders. It's also accountable to everyone its business affects. We're talking employees, customers, and even the wider community. But, as soon as these reports started coming out, a huge debate kicked off almost immediately. Are they a genuine tool for progress, a real report card, or are they just a fancy PR stunt? And the debate really boils down to this. On one side, you've got the supporters. They argue that this kind of social reporting is every bit as important as financial reporting. It gives all the stakeholders, not just investors, the info they need. But then you have the critics, and they're pretty skeptical. They worry it's all just for show, a public relations exercise that doesn't actually lead to any real substantive change. Okay, so to really get a handle on this debate, we've got to step away from the theory for a minute. Let's go inside the supply chain and see what a social auditor's day is actually like. What does checking labor standards really mean when you're there, on the ground, in the factory? Remember that quote from the very beginning? Well, it was from a guy named Giovanni Preston. He's in charge of social responsibility for Rancher Jeans, a Canadian clothing company. And a lot of their suppliers are in developing countries, which puts him right in the thick of all these complicated issues. Now, this is the really crucial part. What is Giovanni actually looking for when he shows up at these factories? It's not some vague idea of doing good. He has a very specific, concrete checklist. Are the workers being paid fairly? Is the workplace safe? Does it have a good health and safety record with low levels of accidents? And absolutely critically, are all the workers above the legal minimum age? He is there to make sure there is absolutely no child labor. And the reason that checklist is so specific, so hardcore, is because he's on the front lines fighting against this, sweatshop labor. It's a term for pretty much the worst-case scenario, outright labor abuse and exploitation, where people are seriously underpaid and work in just terrible, often dangerous conditions. This is the very thing companies like Rancher Jeans are trying to avoid. And this quote, wow, this really gets to the heart of the whole thing, doesn't it? Rancher Jeans is saying, point blank, look, we know we're a big company and we know people are watching us. They're totally aware of the scrutiny. And then they say it. If they are seen as socially responsible, the company will benefit. This just perfectly sums up that tension between actually doing good and just looking good. That tension, between doing the right thing and just appearing to do the right thing, it forces us to ask an even bigger question. What exactly is a company's conscience? Let's try to pin down the core ideas behind the social part of social responsibility. Okay, so it all kicks off with what's called a social conscience. This is the fundamental belief that running a business isn't just about spreadsheets and profits. It's about real moral and ethical issues that have real-world consequences for real people. And when a company actually has that conscience, well, that's when you get social responsibility. It's not just a belief anymore. It's an active concern for the impact of their activities, not just inside the factory walls, but on the entire community. You can almost see it as a path, right? It starts with a foundational principle. Social justice. That's just the basic idea that people deserve to be treated fairly and equitably, period. And the ultimate goal of that? It's social well-being, the result you get when working conditions are good and people are actually happy and able to thrive. And that brings us right back to where we started. We've looked at the theories, we've waded into the debate, and we've even seen what it looks like on the ground. So the question is now for you. The next time you see one of those corporate social reports, how are you going to look at it? Will you see a true measure of progress or just a really well-crafted story?